So Donald Trump is potentially going to sign an executive order into place, according to ESPN. A quote exactly from there is to determine and implement appropriate measures with respect for clarifying the status of collegiate athletes, end quote. In other words, what they are trying to do is get the federal government to assess whether or not they are in fact student athletes or they are, of the programs and universities and colleges, actual employees. Now, for one, I want to be clear. I am okay with athletes getting paid at the collegiate level. They get treated like professional athletes. They should get paid as such. But there are negatives and positives to being an employee of said university. I think for me, the positive is that now you get legal representation. Now you can unionize. Now you can do things like we're going to fight for practice conditions. We are going to fight for things that we haven't been able to even begin to tap the surface of, because even though we're treated like we're professional athletes, we've been told for years and years and years, no, you can't do that. You're a student athlete. Nah, you can't do that. You're a student athlete. Why can't they do something? Because they're a student athlete. It was a blanket term that was used by the NCAA to combat any argument that anybody presented. Now that argument doesn't really mean much. And let's be honest, they haven't been treated like student athletes really since probably the 50s, 60s, 70s. They haven't been treated like that. It's always been money under the table, a booster giving you money. Hey, good job, son. Here's a little something extra. Go have fun tonight. The NCAA just started making rules and mandates because at the end of the day, they never really wanted them to make money. They wanted all the profits for themselves and the universities, and they didn't want to have to split it with the students, even though it was literally being done on their backs. And I know the age-old argument of they're getting a scholarship. They're getting a scholarship. There's 75 players on a football roster alone. They're not all getting scholarships. And a lot of the scholarships that athletes are getting are not even full-ride scholarships. A good majority of them are on partial scholarships. Do you know how expensive dorm room living is at a place like Alabama? I mean, I went to a community college, and for 1 year of dorm living, it was $5,700. To an 18-year-old, that's a lot of money. There's federal aid, there's student funding. Look, where do you think a lot of this money comes from? It comes from sports. A lot of these programs wouldn't exist if it wasn't for football, basketball, baseball, softball. They wouldn't. A lot of communities would completely crumble if it wasn't for athletes in general. High school, college, professional. There are people that stand on the backs of these athletes. It's deeper than you think. And if you want to watch a very good documentary that still holds up today, it is called School, The Price of College Athletics. We are talking about players that have been paralyzed, and because they are student athletes, they got nothing from said universities. Meanwhile, an employee with employee benefits would have been entitled to workman's compensation. And that's the way that it should be. And to me, representation and workman's compensation are the two primary benefits that if I were a 19-year-old in today's college world, and as an athlete, I would be excited about that. What I wouldn't be excited about is the potential of not only just the salary cap, but with that salary cap is going to come limitations on the transfer portal. I've said this once, I'll say it again, I've said it a million times, and I'll continue to say it until it changes. As long as Brian Kelly is allowed to leave for whatever reason, contract buyouts or not, if he is allowed to leave in November, then student athletes, collegiate athletes, should be allowed to transfer as well. Whether it's if they want to follow their coach, whether they don't like the new coach, whatever the case may be, they should not be forced into changes that they don't want to accept. Every single one of us, if we are at a job and management changes hands and we don't like management, we're allowed to leave. Those athletes, on the other hand, are not. They're told, no, you're in college, you stay put. What separates them from anybody else when it really boils down to it? Especially when it comes to being an athlete. They are out doing free PR work by doing interviews with ESPN and CBS Sports and a host of other companies. Everybody's making money off of them. CBS is making money off of the interview when they put it on social media or they put it on their network. Same thing with ESPN, NBC. They're all making money. They're all cashing in. The universities are getting revenue shares and they're signing big contracts with the Big Ten and the SEC and the ACC. And they're all moving around trying to do what's best for the college football playoff. And they're all making football decisions and they're trying to get the best potential money. That was what happened in the Pac-12. That was a big part of the reason why it dissolved, was because they weren't in favor of the revenue sharing program, the amount of money that was going to come from the network. So a lot of teams bailed out where they thought that they could find a better financial package. So as long as they're able to do things, whether its concern is money or not, then yes, I believe that a student athlete should absolutely have the transfer portal available to them. And I don't want to hear any ifs, ands, or buts about it, because what it all boils down to is the financial capabilities. Well, they should have contracts. And if they are salary capped and they're official employees, and they're going to have contracts, and those contracts will have buyouts. Look, I'm not saying no to a good majority of that. What I am saying is that even with a salary cap, you cannot cap name, image, and likeness. So while the universities themselves may have caps, name, image, and likeness will solely be able to be determined by the individual. They will go to Wendy's, they will go to the local car dealerships, or they will come to them and they will make a deal and they will determine their worth, and there will never be a cap limit on that. And because there will never be a cap limit on that, Deion and Frost and Brom and all these other coaches can all go out here and say, well, the rich are going to stay richer, when the reality is that's not the case. And we can look at the 2024 season and we can look at the highest spenders and we can say 17 out of the top 25 highest spenders didn't make the CFP. 7 of them had losing records. And Notre Dame, who wasn't a top 25 spender, was competing for the national championship. It's fear. The money drives the fear as much as it drives everything else. So we need to stop pretending that this isn't all a conversation about money, because that's exactly what it is. And it's a falsified limit to where, okay, Texas can't spend more than X amount of dollars. Great, but their boosters absolutely still can. That's not going to change. Because as long as somebody has control over their signature, their name, their likeness, and their image, they are going to be able to determine what their worth is. And the NCAA can't put a price on that. And that's exactly why they never wanted to allow it to happen to begin with, because there is no limitation for that. Speaking of no limitations and money and everything else, Dame Lillard, $45 million. He's going to be going to Portland. Look, Portland is going to do something that Milwaukee was not willing to do. And that is basically they are going to pay him to sit out for all, if not at least a good majority of the upcoming season. Now, I understand that Dame had years left on his contract, and Milwaukee's been making a lot of really bad decisions. They had 2 coaches on a payroll that weren't even coaching. Now they would have added a player to that. Does it make sense? Does it not? We don't know. What we do know is this: with all the rumor and hearsay, the last man standing right now is Giannis. There were rumors that suggested him and Budenholzer weren't getting along. There were rumors that suggested that him and a couple of other players didn't like the way it was going with Coach Griffin, but they were winning. Both coaches had him in the position to win. So what was really the problem? What was really going on? That's what we have to begin to ask ourselves and try and assess. And when Dame first showed up, they were little homeboys, man, just dapping each other up all the time. They were in interviews. It's your team. No, it's his team. Oh, come on, it's our team. Yeah, acted real kind of cornball, to be honest with you. Me personally, I never thought it was going to work out. And depending on what's going to happen with Giannis, a lot of questions are going to be starting to be answered. In fact, there's still more questions with Milwaukee than there are answers. And I don't think Dame is going to hold his tongue. It's a little bizarre that he's back in Portland of all places. Let's not forget how that all ended. And we all know Dame loves to rap. And we all know he loves to rap about situations in the NBA and contracts. I give it a week tops before Dame is out here and he's going, you know what? This is what happened. This is what Giannis is really like. This is what Giannis is doing. And that's what's going on with this organization. We're going to find out some things. And it could all blow up in Milwaukee's face worse than it already all has. Doc Rivers took over a team that was primed to probably be the number one seed in the NBA playoffs again. All he's done ever since is make excuses. Oh, I asked him if we could wait until after the All-Star break. Oh, we had guys that were already basically on vacation in their mind. Oh, we've had this. Oh, we've had that. Man, dude, stop, Brody. It's a nightmare. Men are surviving off of one championship. It is what it is. I don't think it's going to work out with Portland and Dame. Maybe he goes back reinvigorated. Maybe he's able to get healthy and maybe things work out, but I don't think so. I think this was an image thing with Portland, and they're trying to get people to look over here, if I'm being honest with you. I don't think it really has anything to do with helping out Dame or doing the right thing. Dame was going to be making money no matter what. It's all about the future after this season and what everybody's going to be seeing when it comes to Dame. And for whatever reason, Milwaukee didn't see it going past this year. Maybe the injury had something to do with it. Maybe it didn't. Maybe it was a combination of the injury and other things. We don't know right now. All we have is a guessing game. The only true fact that we know is Dame got hurt, potentially out for the entire season. Milwaukee said, we're not going to pay you to sit this year, and we don't want you back after that. And Portland, for whatever reason, has decided to step in. That's it. As of the moment of this broadcast, that's it. Speaking of stepping in, Conor McGregor has decided to go ahead and step into the testing pool for the UFC. Look, 2016 Conor McGregor, he is long gone, man. That guy knew how to handle the limelight. That guy knew how to handle fame and money. That guy was a warrior and a competitor. He was an entertainer. He was everything. And I don't know that there was a more recognizable face in the world than Conor McGregor. And that's just probably a cold, hard fact. Now, all of a sudden, he fights Mayweather and the switch happens. Now, you could say it started with Khabib. You could say it started with Mayweather. We don't really know. What we do know is this, and this continuously gets left out, is Artem, one of McGregor's boys, was cornered by Khabib and a couple of his guys at a hotel. There's a whole video of it online. Later on, Khabib tried to deny that it happened, even though there was a video of him clearly doing this. I don't see this video. It's there, Brody. We see all this go down, and McGregor then hops a flight, and the bus thing happens. Now, whether you agree with McGregor or not, it is what it is, but that's why he went out there. He was trying to get his boys back. I'm going to tell you like this. I would love to have a player by my side like Conor McGregor. Oh, you messing with my boy? I'm hopping a flight from Ireland. I'm there in 18 hours, Brody. I'm there now. Khabib, send location. There was a location, Brody. It was the bus. Now, Khabib obviously ended up getting the better of it at the end of the day because he beat him in the fight. But in terms of McGregor, we don't know where it began, and we don't know where it ended. We don't know where it all went wrong. You could point to any number of things. And what we do know for sure is this. It's been a while since he's had a fight. And the last fight that he had ended with a broken tibia. Not his fault. It wasn't a leg check by Dustin, by the way. So it is what it is. But then he's getting ready to fight Michael Chandler. And I remember thinking to myself and saying out loud, look, I don't think McGregor is going to be in this fight. I think he's been living the bodybuilder lifestyle. I think he's been living the money lifestyle. And once he realizes that he should have been training this whole time, which he clearly wasn't, videos of him all over the place at the club. Any real fighter knows you can't train and be at the club for the most part. He was done. He was done before it started. Broke his toe on an elbow? Maybe. What we do know is 26 McGregor is limping in on one leg if he's got to be in a fight. What we also know is that he didn't fight, and he hasn't had a fight since. It's been years. The Dustin Poirier fight was back in 2021. We're looking at a potential of 5 years, almost to the day, if McGregor participates in the White House fight. That is a long layoff. And in addition to that, the thing that I said was, look, McGregor's going to realize he's in a fight, and he's going to have to back out. I can't do this. I haven't been training. I mean, I thought I wanted to fight. Come to find out, I don't really want to fight. And if you don't have to, then why would you? I'm not hating on the man. It's weird for people to say, you're just being a hater. No, I'm not. It's just, if you didn't have to, why would you? Why would you want to get kicked in the face if you didn't have to get kicked in the face? Pretty easy answer. You wouldn't. I don't know, maybe you're a sycophant for it. Who knows? But the bottom line here, I think, is pretty clear. Now, I don't know if that happens again this time. I would give anything to see 2016 McGregor back, and I think we all would. Whether you loved him or hated him, I think everybody respected him. I don't think that's there anymore. All right, everybody, I am Drew Duncan. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram is all at Drew Duncan Radio. I am wherever you are listening to broadcasts. Take a device to play the Drew Duncan Sports Show. Everybody stay safe, take care of yourselves, and have a wonderful rest of your night and or day.